This is Gothica Eterna.
Hello and welcome back to Gothica Eterna. I've had some requests from people to do kind of a mini series on basics of witchcraft, and I've had some students asking me about tools, so I decided to do a video on tools used in witchcraft. Now, this may not be a comprehensive list. I may have some that aren't on my list that are useful in witchcraft, but I'm going off of a list that I wrote a while back. Some of it's a compilation of tools and their descriptions that I've taken from different sources or written in my own information. For starters, though, a witch does not technically need any tools. A spell can be cast, intention can be put out into the universe without the use of tools. However, that being said, tools are useful. The tools of the trade, a lot of witches like to have them because they add that little extra oomph, and some rituals are written using an athame or a wand to cast circle. You can cast a circle with your hand, your pointer finger on your dominant hand. Candles aren't really necessary. You can, if a spell calls for a green candle to be on the altar, you can. I've heard of people scribbling on a piece of paper in green crayon and using that as a substitute for a candle. So this video is by no means saying that you absolutely have to have these tools or you can never cast a spell, you can't be a proper witch. That's not what this video is about. This video is about tools that a lot of witches do use and what they're used for. For a very long time, I didn't have access to many tools. So my standing or permanent altar was small and had few items on it, and I had to modify a lot of spells to suit what I had. So, like I said, by no means am I saying you have to have these things, just saying that they're useful. I don't have everything on this list, but the things on this list that I do have, I will show you mine. So, altar cloth. This is my altar cloth. Let me flip it. That's my altar cloth. Oh, upside down. My altar cloth. I like it. It's black and silver and gold and has this cool border and 3 pentacles on it. Altar cloths can be changed to suit the seasons. Some people do. I used to. Right now I just have this one, but I used to alternate between different colored cloths for different seasons and holidays. You can get one from a local occult store. You can find one on Amazon or Etsy, or you can make your own, or just use a scarf, a shawl, just a couple yards of fabric that you bought. For a while I did that. I didn't even sew the edges. I just threw a piece of fabric on my altar and called it a day. So yeah, altar cloths. They add a nice decorative element to your altar and can help liven it up. They can also protect the surface of your altar from spills, dripping candle wax, that kind of thing. Altar tiles. I don't currently have any. I do make some and sell them on my shop, but my shop is empty right now. I'm in the process of restocking my inventory and coming out with some new merchandise as soon as I can. Okay, my hair's coming out of the ponytail, so I'm just going to take it out of the ponytail. There we go. Dreads free. Oh, sorry. But altar tiles, again, they can serve to add a decorative element. They're also really good for putting under pillar candles or tapers, or any candle in general, because they catch the candle wax. Even with a taper candle in a candle holder, sometimes you get that bit of wax that just drips all the way down. And it's good for catching that and keeping it from getting on your altar or your altar cloth. You can have, I had reversible altar tiles in my shop that had a pentacle on one side and the triple moon goddess symbol on the other. Hopefully soon I'll be able to come out with some larger wooden tiles that are reversible with the goddess symbol on one side and the god symbol on the other, and then you could use that to put like the goddess candle on top of the goddess side and the god candle on top of the god side of the altar tiles. You could buy two and just flip them. Anywho, an Asperger. I personally don't have one. I just use my fingers. But everybody's different, and some people like an Asperger. I may get one in the future. An Asperger is a small brush, and some people will make their own and make it like a tiny broomstick or a besom. And it's a small brush that's used in ritual to sprinkle water. Sometimes it's made from twigs, sometimes from feathers, or some people, I've seen one that was even dried lavender stems tied together. It's easy to make one, but I just personally dip my fingers in the water and flick. It's one of those things that you can have or you cannot have, and you can get along just fine with that. Athame, athame, or as I've heard some people say, a thame. I have a few. I'll show you my athames. This is my first athame. This is one of my favorite ones, but I rarely use it. It's a bit longer. And this one I got more recently at a Native American festival powwow. It's jasper. Yeah. An athame or athame is a double-sided blade used in ritual. It's essentially a dagger. It's ceremonial, it doesn't need to be sharp, and it represents the masculine. It's often used in ceremonial magic rituals, and you'll place it into a chalice to symbolize the union of male and female. And for those of you who don't get it, you'll get it someday. So you have your athame, you have your chalice, and you'll place the athame in the chalice to represent the union of male and female. It's also used for directing energy and can be used for casting circles. You can get some really gorgeous athames. Like I have this one that I think is just gorgeous. I actually wore this on my hip. I just hit myself in the head with my own athame. I wore this one on my hip at the Renaissance Fair. And I got this one at the Renaissance Fair. It's called the Knight's Dagger, and I love it. I actually have some pictures of me spinning it on Beltane. Yeah, you can get some beautiful ones. You can buy one, make one out of wood. I've heard of people adapting kitchen knives. The point is it being double-sided to represent the duality of life. But as with anything else, you don't have to have an athame. Bells. This is my bell. I rarely use it. Bells come in all shapes and sizes. Actually, I have another bell I'm going to grab real quick. I also have this little bell that was given to me by a very good friend of mine. So, you have a teeny tiny bell. You have this simple one. You can have ornate silver bells or even crystal bells with long handles or stems at the top. Intricate design work. And the purpose of a bell, they're really good to use when you need a quick fix for dispelling energy. You can ring the bell in each room in the house to basically clear the air. You can use it to call the quarters, and it can also be helpful in inducing trance or meditation. I occasionally do trance work with my students, and it can be very helpful in either beginning the trance or ending the trance. If you are not familiar with trance work can be a very powerful and enlightening experience. I would not recommend leading trance work if you are not familiar with it. I have been both the individual in the trance and the individual leading the trance, so I have adequate experience in that area. But if that's something you're interested in, I would find somebody that you trust who is experienced in leading trance work and ask them if they could guide you through it. That was a little bit off topic, but it can be used in trance work. Besom or broomstick. Witches are often depicted with a broomstick, also known as a besom. There's a whole history behind the idea of witches flying on broomsticks, and I'm not going to go into that right now. If you want me to do a separate video on it, let me know in the comment section. But besoms or broomsticks. They're often used before ritual to sweep away negative energy. Some people believe that you should sweep from east to west or east to west or west to east. But everybody has a preference. Besoms can be, just as anything, intricate and beautiful, or they can be simple. They can be bought or they can be handmade. They're also used in hand fastings in the tradition of jumping the broomstick. When sweeping negative energy out of a space prior to ritual, most people say that the bristles of the broomstick or besom are never supposed to touch the ground. I personally don't have a besom right now. I'm hoping to make or buy one. I just need the materials to make or the money to buy. Bowline. Another tool that I do not have. I did have somebody who made one for me, but I have yet to receive it. Bowline is a fancy name for the knife that's used to cut herbs. It usually has a white handle and a curved blade. Oftentimes you'll see them white-handled with a crescent-shaped blade, and they're used to harvest herbs and cut them up. And they're also useful for carving symbols on candles for spell work, because with the curved blade you have a tip that you can use to inscribe symbols. Generally the anathema, none of my athemes are like this, but generally an athame has a black or dark handle, and the bowline has a white or light colored handle to distinguish the two. I'm fairly untraditional in some ways. The bowline that I had that was made for me, I chose ebony for the handle, and I don't have any black handled athames. So color of handles depends on your tradition. I'm eclectic and I've built my own path, so I don't really feel the need to adhere to any rules on what my tools should look like. But if your tradition is very specific on the tools you use, go with your tradition, or don't if that's your choice to break your tradition a bit. Moving on, cake. Cake is used in ritual during cakes and ale. I typically use angel food cake, and I'll take black or red icing and draw a pentacle or triple moon symbol on the slices of cake, depending on which one I feel is more appropriate to what we're celebrating. Cakes and ale aren't done in every ritual, unless you want them to be done in every ritual. I typically only use cakes and ale for important rituals such as Esbats, full moon rituals, or Sabbats, the 8 holidays within the year. But if you want to have cakes and ale in every ritual, that's your choice. And you don't have to have cakes and ale. It's essentially pagan communion. Candles. You can have taper candles. You can have these little tiny spell candles. Or candles like this. And I don't have any of the tall pillar candles right now, but I've seen rituals and spells that call for pillar candles. Again, nothing is really needed to perform a spell. Your intention and the words in your spell are enough. But candles can be used as representations of the god and goddess. This is my god and these are my god and goddess candles. They can be used to represent fire. This is my current candle that's been on my altar to represent fire. feel grateful. I took down my entire altar just to do this video. Some people will use them to symbolize all of the elements. So perhaps a white or yellow candle to symbolize air, a blue candle for water, a green candle for earth, and a red or orange candle for fire. This is highly appropriate if you'd rather just get 4 different colored candles as your element representations instead of getting a bowl of salt and some incense and a candle and a bowl of water. They're used in spell work, meditation, and divination. Cauldron. I think my cauldron is the one tool I have that I didn't bring over. Cauldron. I have a tiny cauldron, and rigging this to be able to sit over a flame has not been easy, but I've figured out a makeshift suspension so that I can suspend it over a tea light. Cauldrons are a symbol of the feminine, much like a chalice, which I'll get to in a little bit. It represents the womb and also corresponds to the element of water. They're used for burning incense, herbs, spells. You can go with an actual cast iron cauldron, or you can really go with any pot-shaped vessel that's fireproof. Yeah. Generally, when people think of cauldrons, they'll think of a bubbling witch's brew where you're throwing all these herbs in that have these strange names, and I have a thread on my bracelet. But oftentimes they're just used for burning incense. Mine still smells like dragon's blood from the last time that I burned incense in it. Usually you'll use it when you're burning herbs as incense, or if you're burning a powdered incense. These can be very helpful as they're fireproof and can help contain the heat and prevent you from burning your altar or your house down. Always a plus. Censer. A censer is much like a cauldron, and I do have a censer. It is also a little pot that is generally fireproof and contains heat that you can use to burn incense. But it hangs and it swings, and if I can untangle the chains, I can show you the swinging factor. Yeah. So, very good for burning powdered and herbs as incense and walking around a room and spreading the smoke. The lid has these star-shaped holes. Not all of them will have star-shaped holes, and they vary in size. I bought the smaller one that I saw at the store because I was low on funds, but they also had bigger ones. Generally what you'll do is you'll put rock or seashell or sand in the bottom to absorb some of the heat, and then you can get quick lighting charcoal and start burning that and put that in there, and then you put the powder or the herbs on top. Chalice. I just had my chalice. I'm a little scatterbrained at the moment, apparently. I had the chalice because I was demonstrating the joining of masculine and feminine using the chalice. Chalice. I've been looking for a different chalice for a while now, but this is what I'm currently using as my chalice. It is part of a matching set, and it has a pretty design. It is a cup or goblet that holds water or wine and represents the feminine. You can really use any cup as your chalice to hold water or wine and represent the feminine, but a lot of people like to get more decorative chalices, and some people will even have a collection of chalices that they use for different purposes. Right now I use this one for everything. Cards. I have a box. Now, cards come in different decks. Oh, the book says chords, but I'm going to talk about cards too. This is an oracle deck, and this are tarot decks. Yes. For those of you who may be wondering, I currently have the Legends of the Divine Tarot deck, Brotherhood of Light Egyptian Tarot deck. This one was given me by my dad, and I have yet to use it or bless it or consecrate it. It's new. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. And this is... One second. I have the book for this one. I can't remember the name of it. Okay, I don't know what the name of this one is. It's an oracle deck that I got from my mother. There's a difference between tarot and oracle. Generally, tarot decks have the same number of cards, the same cards. They have the major arcana and the minor arcana. And the variance in each deck is mainly the artwork. So, in my Legends of the Divine Tarot deck, like, that is what the artwork looks like. It's all pretty and fancy. Like, there's my ace of coins. And in my... You guys are going to get to watch me open my new tarot deck, if I can find where it opens. In my Brotherhood of Light Egyptian Tarot deck, the artwork is more simple and Egyptian based. And the back looks like that. But yeah, tarot cards are used for divination, as are oracle decks. And oracle decks are generally unique, and they will usually come with a book telling you what each card means. Yeah, you don't have to have cards. I started doing divination with cards with a playing card deck. I have a book called... I grabbed the book. I have a book called The Tarot of the Soul by Belinda Atkinson, and I will put the title and author in the description of this video if you guys want to take a look. And it is about using regular playing cards for divination. I also have another book called Illustrated Tarot Spreads, 78 New Layouts for Personal Discovery by Heide Marie Pielmeyer and Marcus Scherner. And it's a book of tarot spreads. So, and I'm about to mix my oracle deck with my tarot deck on accident. Okay. So yeah, they're used for divination. There's different spreads that you can use for discovering different things. I hate using the word things, but I just drew a blank for a second. Now, moving on to cords. I don't currently have any cords, but they're used in various areas of the craft, including knot magic, marking boundaries, and in initiations. Cords are used in hand fastings. They'll bind the hands of the two who are getting hand fasted with cords, or more who are getting hand fasted if it's a polyamorous group getting hand fasted to each other. Wonder what that would look like if 4 people were all getting hand fasted to each other and their hands are just... I would imagine it would work better if all 4 of their hands would be bound together. That way they're bound to each other and not just bound to who they're next to, but that's a whole nother story. Yes, cords are used in knot magic. In knot magic, oftentimes you'll tie a knot, and as you tie each knot, you'll put intention into the knot, and then some people will seal the knots with candle wax or some other form of sealant. Moving on, crystals and stones. I have some of my crystals right here. Yay, crystals! Here's a piece of rose quartz, clear quartz, hematite, blue goldstone, tiger's eye, smoky quartz, the big piece of smoky quartz. I like it. This one's actually amethyst. At first glance it looks like rose quartz, but then you notice it has a light purple color. It's just a very light amethyst. And I actually have a tiny sapphire. Yeah. Crystals. Each one has its own correspondences and things that it is good for. At some point I may do a video on crystals. I also have a little bottle of carnelian. Yes, each one has their own unique energies and qualities. They're often used in spell work, ritual, meditation, healing, offerings. A lot of people will have a large collection of crystals. Crystals can be worn as jewelry to keep the energy and the benefits of that crystal close to you. Some people will have them in a medicine bag. I actually have a medicine bag that I got. The string broke, so I need to fix it. That's why I'm not wearing it. And inside of my medicine bag, what do I have? It's been a while since I've opened this thing. Money cowrie shell. Guitar pick. Completely unrelated. I lose my guitar picks. This really pretty crystal quartz pyramid that I got. I like it. I like my crystals and my herbs and my witchy things. Ooh, I think that's my petrified wood. I dropped my petrified wood. Crystals can be tumbled or raw or natural. Tumbled will be smoother and more shiny. But they will, they'll look more polished and smooth and have a smoother texture. Some people prefer natural crystals, some people prefer tumbled. It's all about preference, or quite honestly what your spell calls for. If it calls for a natural crystal, sometimes in healing, crystal points will be used. I don't currently have any crystal points on hand, but yeah, crystals have a wide variety of uses and purposes and energies, and it all just depends on the crystal. Crystal balls! My crystal ball has a cool green man stand, but I didn't feel like dragging out the stand, so this is my crystal ball. They're used for divination. Oftentimes you'll have a dark room with some lit candles and gaze into your crystal ball and see what you see. Crystal balls are charged often by moonlight, and it's generally advised to keep them out of direct sunlight as much as possible so that they retain the energy from charging them. Incense! I have incense sticks in my closet, but incense comes in powdered forms. You can use just plain herbs as incense and burn them. They'll come in stick forms, or cones. Yeah, incense smells good, and sorry, okay. Incense comes in a variety of smells, and some people are more sensitive to smell than others, so if you are highly sensitive, you don't have to use incense. I know some people who are allergic to incense. They're used to clear a space of negative energy, create sacred space, complement spell work, or add energy to a ritual. So what type of incense you use will depend heavily on what type of ritual you're using and what benefit you're trying to get. Dragon's blood is very protective, for example. So, yeah. Pick your incense depending on what you like as far as smell, what's not going to irritate your nose, and what kind of ritual you're doing. Offering dish or libation bowl. I make fancy ones and sell them, but I don't actually own a fancy one. I have this. Just this clear little bowl. They're used to leave offerings for the gods, spirits, or the fae. Pretty much anything can be left as an offering, and it all depends on what feels right for you and what you think that particular deity or fae might like. I'll use an offering bowl or libation bowl when I'm doing ritual indoors. I will leave a portion of the cakes and ale in the bowl, and then later when I can go outside, I'll pour it out at the base of a tree. I explained offering and libation bowls in my video of my Maybon ritual. But yeah, good little tools if you're going to offer a portion of your meal to the deities, or if you're going to offer part of your cakes and ale, or even just leave some crystals, pennies, anything that your deity might favor on your altar. It's a nice way to contain it and hold it in. You can use anything as an offering bowl, provided that it's bowl shaped, or cup shaped at least. Or like you could use a plate if you're not pouring liquid into it. Sword. I don't have a sword yet. I'm hoping to get one. And much like an athame, it can be used to cast a circle. Some traditions specifically use swords in the casting of circles. It just comes down to a personal preference thing, whether you want to cast a circle with your hand or cast it with an athame or a wand or a sword. Staff. Not essential, but can be used to cast circles and direct energy. It's also a representative of the gods. Staffs are used more by druids than witches, but every witch has their own individual path, and if a staff fits in with your path, then by all means use a staff. Staffs are also often seen as a community tool. Some circles will have a staff that gets passed between everybody in the group and anyone can use it. I also know an individual who stated that whenever they make a staff, they know that it's only theirs to use until the time comes to pass it on to another. And I actually had the pleasure of being there one time when a staff was being passed on from that individual to another. A very heartwarming and highly spiritual moment to watch the staff that I had seen him use and I had personally held and put some energy into, and then watching it being passed on to another individual. Wands. I have a couple. I have this small paddock wood palm wand that I got at a wand class, or after a wand class with Gypsy Teague. And I have this unicorn wand that I made that has a stopper on the handle, so herbs and crystals and such can be put in the handle to give it a little bit of an extra energy boost. Wands are not necessary, but often associated with witches, and a lot of witches like to have one. And they're used for directing energy, casting circles, much like an athame or sword or staff could be used. They can be made or bought. They can be plain. They can be decorative. I learned how to make unicorn wands when I first started off with my path and started learning fairy magic. So this design and type of wand is special to me because it's the first kind I ever learned to make. I've made my own wooden wands over the years, and this is the only wand that has ever been made by another that's in my possession. This wand, interestingly enough, I didn't want it, but at the same time, my soul wanted it and it wanted me, because I kept getting drawn to this one, and I like longer wands. Please, no sexual jokes here. I like a longer wand. I like the aesthetic and the length and especially if it's wood, I like the whippiness and the flexibility. So I wasn't looking for a short wand, and I was looking for something that was more of a water element wood, and this is a fire element wood. But this wand wanted me, and I kept grabbing it, and eventually I said, okay, you're mine, I get it. One that's not on my list that I still wanted to talk about, a couple actually that are on my list that I still want, or that aren't on my list that I still wanted to talk about because I personally use them. Bottles! I have this bottle, and this bottle, and this bottle. This little red bottle that's very fiery. And this bottle. And I have a lot of other bottles, but I didn't feel like dragging all of my bottles out. So there's a few of my bottles. Very good for a witch's bottle. Oftentimes witch's bottles or jars are varied, so sometimes a jar is better. You could use a mason jar, or some people will make small ones with old baby food jars that have been cleaned out. But bottles, good for witch's bottles, fairy bottles, dark world bottle, which I actually have a thing for. If you guys want to learn how to make a dark world bottle, I think that's what it's called. It's been a while. Let me look at the table of contents instead of trying to find it. Yes, my table of contents is at the back of the book. Dark world bottle, yep. If you guys want to learn how to make a dark world bottle, comment below and I'll make a video on that. I most often use my bottles for potion making. Potion making is one of the first things that I learned because it was something I was very strongly drawn to. So I have a lot of bottles for potions. Candle holders. They come in a variety of shapes and sizes. You have these ones for tapers. I also have a couple crystal ones for taper candles. I have square ones that my little candles go in. I have square ones in orange, green, blue, and I believe I had another one. I think I have a yellow one. I don't see the yellow one, so I can't remember if it was yellow or another color. Or I have these candle holders. These are cool because if you have enough of these, like, I will put a candle in one of these for fire. I'll put some salt in one of these for earth, some water in one of these for water, and technically you could put some sand at the bottom and burn like an incense cone in one. So you could also use shot glasses for that purpose. I have seen some people who all their altar was 4 shot glasses with representations of the different elements. And if you like that more minimalistic aesthetic, more power to you. I also have, this one is one of the ones that I hand painted, and I actually removed this one from my store. It hadn't sold, so it's mine now. For incense sticks, an incense holder is a good idea. This one, the stick goes in here and would poke out at an angle, and this long base would catch the ash as it burns down. I also have one about that big that's in the shape of a leaf with a fish in it, and there's a hole in the fish for the incense stick to go, and the base that's leaf shaped will catch the ash. And I also have one that was handmade and bought for me. It was handmade by the seller and then bought and given to me, that is almost flower shaped and has a hole in the center for the incense to go. On the topic of incense sticks, they come in a variety of sizes. There will be tiny ones like this big. I have a couple of those, or there will be long ones like that big. But yeah. So I think that's all I've got. I like boxes too. So I have this box that was given to me. It's a marble, and I believe that's abalone. And I keep my crystals in this one. And then this one was given to me by my father along with this tarot deck and a 20-sided die for divination. It was a birthday present. Yeah, birthday present. Yeah, it was my belated birthday present. So I keep my cards in this. Yeah, that's a list of tools that I have that are good to use in witchcraft. As I've stated, it is not necessary to have any tools, but the tools of the trade are there to help. So if you guys liked this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more of my videos, hit subscribe so you get notifications when my videos pop up. And you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter. Take a look at my Etsy shop when I get it back up and running. I'll let you guys know as soon as it's up and running again. And pretty soon I will have my own website, www.gothicaeterna.com. So stay tuned for that. I'll let you guys know as soon as I have that up and running. The domain name is already reserved. So I now have the handle for every social media and the website, basically. So have a good day, everyone, and blessed be.